Welcome to Look, Listen, Laugh. My guest this episode, she started out as a school teacher and then thought, you know what, I'm going to give comedy a crack. And right out of the gates, she had a meteoric rise, winning the Raw Comedy Competition down at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, and has had countless TV appearances, a regular panelist on Have You Been Paying Attention? And we first met actually on set of a short film that we did together, and I'm looking forward to delving into her favourite album, film and book. So enjoy my conversation with Bron Lewis. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
This must be very familiar to you because the only time that we've been hanging out in the past, we've had cameras on us.
This is true. It is true. The only time we've hung out is there's lots of people watching.
But it was interesting because I was thinking about it the other day, we had just met on set when we did this short film together, and the first scene is like where we first meet. So. But it kind of helped in a way, you know?
Yeah, it was great.
And then the progression of it, it's like, you know, with the two characters that we were playing, getting to know each other, and we shot that first day in sequence. So it was like, this is kind of like in tune with this storyline.
Yeah, I'd never thought about that, but you're right. And you were so kind to me on that because it was the first time I'd ever done any acting, and you obviously have done quite a lot of acting. And I didn't know, there's things I hadn't comprehended before, like how do you learn lines? Because it's a conversation, and if you're the only person, you know, I'm like, I don't want to learn Joel's lines, that's his job. So I was just trying to learn mine, but I was like, I actually don't know how to do it. And so when you were like, you just work it out, and you'd learnt every single line. I don't know how you did that. And then, you made me feel much better about the whole process, and I reckon I would have been up Schitt's Creek if it wasn't you.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
It was great, and the film came out beautifully.
Yeah, it did.
The Doodle.
And I imagine for you, it's kind of like just thrown in the deep end, you know? It's like on that first scene, it's like you got a million and one things. You got to reverse this car in. You got to look at the windows, got to go down. You got to be looking at your eye line right. So it's not just the lines. It's like 101 other things. Like the lines are almost like the last thing to even
very true.
On your mind.
And they're like, what is this character like? Oh, she's frantic. Oh, she's a mess. I'm like, oh, that's easy for me. That's actually perfect.
Out of the gates, I got this. It's fine. But then it was like, for me, it was like I'm having to walk in shot as the car's being reversed in. And so I'm like walking towards a bit in the corner of my arm, watching someone who's giving me a signal, like pick up the pace to get to the door in time as the window comes down. Yeah.
I didn't know that. You poor thing. Oh my God. And I was driving that old car, and I was like, if I crash this,
no one's going to know.
Exactly.
The pressure is off. You could have trashed that thing. They would have been, thanks. No problem.
Yeah, exactly. I made it better. Yeah. It's got a new sound.
Yeah. But it was, like I said, it was advantageous that we could do it in, because with the character development by the end of it, it's like the two of us were like, we like each other.
I know, and it was only 2 days, but it felt like way longer.
Yeah,
and that is in a good way. Because the day started at 6 a.m. or something, and then finished quite late, and then you poor thing had to go do gigs afterwards.
Yes,
and because I was a shell of a woman at the end of the first day. I just went and laid down.
You're like, I got a detox with Sopranos.
Yes, and that was when I miss it. I might start it again. I was rewatching the Sopranos, and I just had to. Yeah, I just had to kind of
recalibrate.
And then you had to go and do gigs. Yeah. Oh my gosh!
And then get up at like 5 the next morning.
Oh, you had a fire alarm at your hotel.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So I had a wonderful wake up call like 3 hours before I was meant to get up. So that was like 2 hours into my 5 hours sleep. Yeah. But in a way, it's kind of. I don't know, sometimes I don't know if you find this with doing stand-up, like sometimes when you're tired and you've just arrived somewhere, you don't have time to think about it, you're kind of relaxed and you just go with the flow. You just kind of, do you ever find that? Is that?
Yeah, I think with stand-up is because I think the good thing about stand-up is you are by yourself, and I think that probably stressed me out a little bit having to work with people is I was like, it's usually just me, and if I
you're
stuff
in full
up,
control.
and if I stuff it up, I recover it. Like I will work out a way how to get out of it. I don't have to like consult with someone and be like, I know I've just said a racial slur.
Yeah.
Not that I ever would
We
do
can
it.
edit that out, right?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
And then, like, please,
Yeah.
let me. I can take control. He just follow my lead. But yeah, so I think that threw me a bit as well. I was like, I don't know. And before I was a stand-up, I was a teacher, and that like, even though you're surrounded by people all the time, it's truly like it's a solitary thing. And so teamwork, even though I like working in teams, it's not something that I'm used to doing.
Sure.
So like I felt really guilty if I'd stuff it up, because I was like, there are so many people on this set, and they've also had to be up since 6 a.m. or even earlier. There was kids, that were there, and then the kids' parents that were there, and I was like, oh my gosh, if I stuff this up, and also not only just like the stuffing up a scene, but if I stuff up this movie, like if I don't do a good job here, the person who wrote it, the person who applied for funding, the person who
the director,
there's so many people here that it's like that no one watches a film, or maybe people do, but I don't watch a film and be like, wow, the lighting in that scene is stunning.
Yeah, the cinematography was the way that panoramic shot.
Yeah, exactly. Like you might be like, oh, the script's good.
Yeah.
Like you might go as far as being like, yeah, like that was all done in one shot. That's very impressive. But it's truly like, did the actor get it right? Like
Yeah.
that's
Are
the
they
first
believable?
one. Yeah. And so if I wasn't, everyone else's talents were redundant. So I was like, I really need to get this right.
Yeah.
So and also because we were like chosen for that without any auditions. Like,
Yeah,
they were like,
they trusted us. They knew our work and gone, that person can play that role.
Yeah. And imagine if we couldn't. Imagine if we tricked them. And then we got there and they were like, why is Bron doing a Chinese accent? I'm like, I'm not sure, actually. I think it's funny. They'd be like, oh, we've misread this.
Yeah, she's going method with this role. I don't know I don't know where in the script she realised anything of an Asian background, but hell, this is her interpretation. She's obviously a professional.
Yeah, or you could have been a diva, or I could have been a diva. You could have been like, I'm not getting there at 6 a.m, I'm getting there at this time. Or you could have got there at 6 a.m. and been like, I need hair and makeup. Like, they have no idea. We could have been awful.
Yeah.
But we weren't.
Yeah.
And they
Thankfully.
should be really grateful for that.
Even the director was saying afterwards, she was like, oh, I feel like writing something else for you guys now. That was a nice compliment. It was like,
nice.
all right, well then, or whether that's, just Hollywood talk of like, well, yeah, you're the best, you're the greatest. Then we turn around and like, thank God we got rid of that. And look, we can edit all of that shit out, right? Yeah.
Well, you could speak to this because I've heard in America, and Josh Thomas has mentioned this in an interview before, where in America they're very different to the producers in Australia, because producers in Australia are kind of like, yes or no or whatever. But in America,
where you stand.
Definitely.
Oh,
you're incredible. You're a star.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone quite like you.
And you're the next best thing.
Yeah.
But we're going to do 20 more lunches and talk about this.
And then they're not interested at all.
You never hear back.
Why?
Well, that's the Hollywood way.
It's an awful
You're
way.
the best. You're the greatest. Everything's great about. From what I hear from friends and stuff that have, that have done it,
I think in Australia, I think we can be polite, but I think we value honesty a little bit more than in America.
Yeah.
I was in a green room the other night, and there was a comedian who I consider my friend. He's a nice man, and I walked into the green room, and his BO hit me so hard that I was like, my eyes started to water. And I looked at him, and I knew it was the start of our night as well. It was a 5 p.m. gig, and then he had to do his show afterwards. And I said to him, mate, you stink very badly. Yeah. And he said, do I? I said, yeah. And he goes, oh, I've just put deodorant on. I said, it's too late.
Yeah, you can't cover that.
It's offensive. Like, do you have a spare shirt? He's like, no. And then there was another comedian in the room who was like stunned that I was that honest. But I was like, I would want to know.
Yeah, I'm looking out for you.
If I smelled that badly. Yeah. And then I went on stage and I was like, why is the front row wincing?
Yeah,
why are they recoiling when I put my arms to the sky? So I was like, I think, and afterwards he was like, thanks for letting me know. I was like, that is what, it's like if you speak to someone for ages, you've got something in your teeth.
Sure, you're sitting at lunch.
You're devastated. You're like, I thought we were friends. Why would you tell me? You obviously saw it.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you tell me? I much prefer honesty than politeness.
Yeah. Yeah, and also too, it's like you're making me uncomfortable, so you're going to make everyone else uncomfortable. With this. So
exactly.
I don't want you to do that to everyone.
He said, "Oh, I forgot to have a shower," and I was like, "Well, that is weird."
What were you just working in a mine?
As a grown-up.
We're like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah. So I said, "This is something you have to remember, mate, and also." You can't wear that on stage. Like, you have to figure out a way. You're going to have to go past.
You have to burn your clothes.
Yeah, it was eye-watering. It was so bad.
Wow.
But I think people need to do that.
Yes.
I want to know.
No, I agree. I feel comfortable enough with my friends to say if there's something in their teeth or something on their face.
Absolutely,
like, hey,
yeah.
Or if you're in a group, you just give a
a little. I reckon you would as well.
A little signal.
Yeah, I believe that. Well, that's it with America. Like, if they're like kind of pumping up your times, I feel like it's such a waste of everyone's time, because if you're not going to actually follow through and offer them anything, what are you doing? What is this for?
There's a fine balance between the two. I think there's a way of, like, in Australia, of like, sometimes in Australia, when people go, no news is good news. But you go for an audition or something and you never hear back, and you go, oh, it's not that good enough.
No, that's actually
would have been better had I had heard. Either way, yeah, you got it, or no, you stink. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's also the same thing. Like, if you get someone comes to your stand-up show and at the end they go, okay,
yeah, right.
You're very brave.
Yes.
And you're like, that is.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I've had that interesting. I'm like,
that is awful. Yeah, there's a comedian who I was chatting to last night. She's also doing a run at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and she said that every manager that's come, she's quite a few with talent agencies she's with, every manager that's come has said at the end, that was fun.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, it's not a bad word, but it's just not, you want more than that.
Mm.
When you have put in months and months and months of work into a show, and you're sharing personal things, like these are my stories that have happened to me and my family and people I love, and I have put it into this, like, I've constructed it into, like, not an entertaining story with a punchline at the end, and then I've found a segue to the next bit. Like, it's hard, and then to create a whole 55 minutes of that, and then someone say, it was fun.
Yeah.
You're like, that is not enough.
Yeah. Well, at least for me, I'd go, all right, well, yeah, it's deflating, but I know where I stand.
Yeah.
Like, as opposed to, that was the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And you are the next best thing. You are your star. You're already there. You don't even need. And then call me on Monday. We're gonna hold it, and you call. They're actually in a meeting at the moment, so they can't. But they'll get back to you.
That's so annoying.
To have that false sense of hope attached to that.
Yeah, you're right. I think I prefer nothing. I think I'd prefer them to
just leave and just never hear nothing. Yeah.
I would prefer, if people came and saw my show, they didn't like it, just leave.
Yeah.
And just never mention it again.
It never happened.
Yes, because I go to the same time, like, you want people to tell you've got something in your teeth or if you stink. But if they didn't like your show that you like, you also don't really want that feedback either. Like, I didn't think it was your funniest. Like, what can you do with that?
Yeah.
Do you know? Okay, well, I guess I'll start again.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the bin. I don't know. Like, you go, okay, so just say nothing.
My dad's like that. He's brutally honest.
Okay, yes.
And he'll I quote. This is me doing, and I was doing a show. It was the first time I'd done a particular show. This is a few years back, and I'd never done this show before. It was the first night of it.
Always a bit awkward.
And he's like, the next day I talked to him on the phone. He's like, he goes, look, to be honest, I don't know why anyone would be interested to see that.
Oh my God.
And I said, I just said, Dad, it got a standing ovation. And he goes, yeah, no, it did. No, well done. And I'm just like, wow, okay.
Oh my God.
And you wonder why I'm a comedian. Why I'm wanting the acceptance of a room full of strangers.
Holy hell.
So with him, I always get brutally honest, Or other shows like, the guys at the golf club loved it. They've been talking about it all day.
The ricochet compliment.
Yeah.
So I saw a lady laughing a lot.
Yeah.
Like, okay, was it you?
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I know.
Thank you, Dad.
My mum came and saw in Canberra, they did the Canberra Comedy Gala, and I mustn't have been her favourite person on their lineup, because at the end of the show she said to me, and you were the prettiest one on stage. I was like, compared to Ray O'Leary, you'd bloody hope so.
Thanks to an all-man review. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting that like our family, I don't know, they can be like very brutally honest, you know? Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And mum's like, oh, I'm trying, you know, she'll say, you know, oh, your last show was brilliant, and this show was pretty good, yes. And you're like, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to give me a compliment, but you just do not have it in you.
Yeah.
She hasn't seen this show yet. She'll come, I think she'll come along at some point, but they're less curious now, my family, like, because I've been doing it for a little while now.
Yeah.
At the start, they were like, we'll be at every show, because I was so nervous no one was going to come.
Yeah.
So now they'll, like, my brother came last night, and that he in previous years he would have gone to Adelaide and seen it at least twice there, and then seen it at least 4 or 5 times in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And then when I did it in Canberra, he'd drive to Canberra to see it there, because he's got a really loud laugh, and he's also, I think, he worries that I'm gonna bomb.
Yeah, I got your back, Bron.
Exactly. And so it comes from a good place. But I sent him a message last night before I went in, and I said, just relax and just do not worry, because it's going to be what it is. And he wrote back saying, I don't know what you mean. And I was like, just enjoy the bits you enjoy, and you don't have to laugh at the bits you don't enjoy. And he was like, this has made me so stressed, because he thought that I was like preparing him over like an absolute stinker, like, oh, no one's laughed at a single joke yet, but don't worry about me, I'm fine.
I love the role reversal here. You're preparing your family, like, you know, for just relax, it's going to be fine, it's going to be great.
Exactly. I'm like, calm down, guys. It's like, I've done awful gigs before. I've bombed for an hour before. I will do it again. And if this is the night that you're there for it, then just like, that's unlucky for everyone involved, but it won't hurt me. Like, next night will be better, or maybe even worse, who knows. But you can't ever predict what kind of night it's going to be. And you
never. And there's so many variables that go into it. And do you, because I came and saw last night, and I had a great time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was like
fun?
Yeah, it was really funny. It was incredible. I mean, I don't know why anyone would come to see it, but it is really fun. Joel, it got a huge reaction. Well done.
Yeah, good.
No, it was, and it was great to see you do a full set. Like, that's the first time I'd seen you.
Yeah.
And it was the way, like the way that you were, like, not only getting, you know, solid laughs throughout, great reactions, but within the audience you could see, yes, and the person in front of me turning to oh, that's so true.
Oh,
you know, so having that happening in the audience as well was great to see. That it's always great to see a show that, of course, everyone's there for the laughter. Yeah. We're all there for the laugh, but you leave them something else. You know, something you connect with them on a more personal level.
Oh, I love that in a show. I love it. So my show last year was about how I went mad, and this is leads into some of the things we're going to look at today. But I went mad after I had the kids, and I got postnatal depression, anxiety, all of the things, and I did a show. It was all funny, and then right near the end, because I kept making light of me losing my mind or something, you know, losing something, or my mum going a bit crazy, or seeing a lady who was a bit crazy, and we were all laughing, and then in the end I was like, oh, we kind of laugh about women losing their mind all the time, because it happens so often and we expect it. And there was like maybe 3 minutes, or even less, 2 minutes of a serious bit, and it was such, for me to do, it was terrifying, because I was like, if I get an audience who I don't want to share this with, and you sometimes get cold audiences and you're like, you don't deserve this part of my life. Like, I don't want to give you this. I'm just going to do knock jokes for an hour. But I had that serious bit, and I know that it was, I'm so proud of that show. It was a really, really fun show to do, and then it was a really powerful show for me. And then my manager came and saw it, and she was like, "It's a great show. It's awesome. However, next year, you're just going to do funny, okay?" She was like, "It's great that I can appreciate why you did it, and I'm not saying you shouldn't have done it. It's really great. Lots of people loved it. Really good reviews, la 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 la. But the next one, I don't want, because you can get caught in that trap." And I found myself, like, after the pressure of doing that, I was like, great, and I was getting really great feedback. And then I was like, okay, the next one, how could I possibly find one as profound as that if I've only gone mad for this? I can't go. It's like there's a comedian, Andrew Hamilton, who went to jail, and his first show was about going to jail. And it's like the next one, he was like, "Fuck, do I go back to jail? Like, am I supposed to?"
I need more material.
Yes,
I need a new
exactly.
theme.
Yeah. So I was like,
Sure.
so I think it was a challenge for me, and I appreciate my boss, my manager gave me this challenge, which was just find it's lighthearted. We're just going to, and which is my time as a teacher. There was lots of funny things. That's my time as a teacher, but I couldn't. I almost got through the whole thing without having a serious moment, but I had to just have one. And then it was right at the end when I did the rant, and then I diffuse it with something silly at the end. And
Sure. But I thought that was great. The way that you were able to personalize it for you, but also look. If that mentality was used more in the world, yeah, I get you hurting, I get that you're pissed off, but let's not do this whole who's right, who's wrong thing here, and let's look at the root of the problem here, what we're dealing with. And I thought it was a great message to leave it. And the audience felt that you felt the honest reaction from the audience and applause from the audience on that point.
Thanks.
And I think, I think that. There's room for that especially within a festival show. To really communicate. This is really what I feel about it.
Yeah.
Did I tell the little shit that though? No,
Yes.
I didn't. But
Exactly.
So it's and you've got the laugh out on the end of it anyway. But to communicate that, I think is and it was a nice contrast because throughout the show you're saying, it's kind of like editing on the fly. I don't know if you felt it with corporate gigs or gigs where what you're thinking, because this is what I was thinking when I was listening to you talk last night. As a teacher, you've got to edit on the fly when you're talking to students. Your internal monologue or what you really think of that kid, you can't really communicate to that kid unless you go back into the staff room and they're this kid's fucking doing my head in, But it was nice to have that, to encapsulate that, I felt, in that last part of the show.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm having a really good time with this show. I really feel like it's therapeutic as well because I'd had avoided a teacher show for a really long time, and I thought it was because people would find it boring, or I'd be kind of being hacky, being like, I'm just going to get teachers in, and but you saw last night there was hardly any teachers.
No, it was like a row of primary teachers, which you
they
had a ball with.
I'm having sort of a really good time pretending that I disrespect primary school teachers, which obviously I don't. I feel like they get a lot of respect, and high school teachers are kind of. They probably get, I think they get less because everyone goes, oh, what an awful job. And primary school, everyone goes, oh, that's nice.
Adorable.
And then they get presents at the end of the year. And they've got a very, very hard job, and there's no two ways about it. But one of my tropes throughout the whole thing is that, like, it's not a real job.
Yeah.
And so the front row last night was predominantly primary school teachers, and they were actually really good sports about it. Because I have had one lady who has been quite offended.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was like, like I said, any primary school teachers, then she put her hand up, like she was so, just like there's a stereotypical teacher, and they're the ones who teaching is their entire personality.
Yeah.
And they are insufferable.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so I could tell she was one of those. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, wow. And then I made fun of primary school teachers, and she shut down and just crossed her arms. And I was like, you've got to realise this is a joke.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to realise I don't actually hate primary school teachers. Like, but I was like, if she goes away and then complains to people, like that's an audience I'm willing to lose, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they're like,
yeah.
"Oh, what?"
Yeah, I don't need her or any of her
Exactly.
like-minded folk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that but some comedians can play it too safe, where they're too apologetic. Like they make fun of someone and they go, "I'm just joking."
Yeah,
And it's like, well, we know you're joking.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
we're a comedy
it's a comedy show. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, we get it. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to say that at the end of every joke. It's a joke, guys. I'm joking. It's a
Yeah.
joke. Obviously, I respect you, and then primary school teachers are great, and you know they're the backbone of society, and it's like that was boring. That's
Yeah.
boring to me. So
Yeah,
you just got to
sure.
back it, and then just hope that everyone knows
Yeah.
you're being facetious.
Sure. Well, that's our job as a comedian.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
We don't need to add footnotes to every one of these jokes.
Exactly.
You know.
It'd be so boring. It'd be the longest, most boring show in the whole world. Yeah.
And how did you because you taught up until 2020, until
Yeah,
the
yeah,
pandemic?
yeah.
And then were you feeling leading up to that, thinking, you know what, I think I need to transition here, or was that
Yeah.
a catalyst for doing that?
Yeah. So I had my kids, two of my three kids, and I went slightly mad after that with postnatal anxiety, which was undiagnosed for a really long time, and then it's just like my chemimal imbalance, just my brain chemical balance just went out of whack, and I couldn't get a rhythm, and I had no idea. So I think being around me during those like 4 years would have been awful.
So this is leading up to...
This is leading up to me...
2020?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
And you were still teaching at the time?
I was still teaching, yeah. So my, so I was still teaching, and I was like head of senior English. So I had a job where I was managing teachers as well.
Right.
And teachers are really hard to manage because we work by ourselves, you know, like we are standing in front of the class, it's our class plan. There may be a curriculum, or we might have a book and stuff, but we teach it the way we want to teach it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have the curriculum, you have the points that you have to hit, but
Exactly.
how you get there is up to you.
Exactly.
Right.
So teachers are control freaks in the way that they're like, to get a bunch of, I feel like English teachers especially, get a bunch of senior English teachers together and be like, okay guys, this is what we're going to do, and this is the new rubric, and the pushback is relentless, and so I was just pushing shit uphill all day with teachers, and then pushing shit uphill all day with,
personally.
So work felt almost as hard as juggling two toddlers at home, where I felt like I was spiraling every day anyway, and I had no idea that I was. And I know it's really hard because when you're spiraling, you're like, oh, I'm spiraling, like, you know. But at the time, because it's the first time I'd ever spiraled that badly,
right.
And because it started, I guess, slowly, and then to the point where I was just completely. I was so reckless, like I joined CrossFit for God's sake, and I was going like twice a day. I had so much energy, but also none. I don't know. It's very hard to describe it. So I had fury that was just like resting at the top of my throat all of the time. There's all this there's just this hot energy in like coursing through my veins all of the time, and me being like, and people being like, oh well, she's got two small kids and she's a teacher, so she's stressed. And so I kept getting all of these pardons, which is fine, which is nice. But I also, and this was what was in my last show, I just really needed someone to be like, are you all right? Because you don't look all right. Yeah. And no one did that. Everyone was like, oh.
What about your husband, Lucas?
Did he notice? I think, so we had kids, it's funny, we had kids really quickly. So we met each other and fell madly in love. And then within 6 months, I was pregnant with our first child. And then pregnancy sent me balmy, which it does most people. And so I think he was like, oh, she's just a bit mental, and that's okay. And he was very patient with me. And it wasn't a great time for him, I'm sure, but we just were surviving. Yeah. The two small kids is really, sure. It's a lot. It's noisy. It's like you are consumed with guilt the whole time because you haven't got something right, and they get sick often, and then daycare is expensive, and so you can't not work. But also, it's so expensive that you're like, oh, maybe I'll just keep them home. But the thought of that when you're going mad, of spending more time with the people who have sent you mad, is you can't. Okay, so they'll go into daycare 3 days a week, and then I'd go and I'd have to get up at 4 a.m. to mark. I make a joke in my show this year about how I didn't actually mark. I just pretended to mark. I just circle things and give them 70. If they complain, I gave them 100. But you do have to get up at 4 a.m, and it's relentless. The marking is relentless, and it's just. And then you come to school, and then you've got teachers who are complaining about the new rubric that you've made, and actually there's this kid, and then you go into the class, and then kid tells you to get, like to go F yourself, and you're like, oh wow, it's a truly relentless time, and
Sure.
I am there was no reprieve. So I think where I found it was CrossFit, which is madness in itself, because you're pushing your body to do. I hurt my back really badly in it,
Sure.
it's such heavy weights, such high reps, but I was doing it because I was like, I can see progress here, whereas nowhere else in my life could I see that. It just seemed to be getting messier and weaker in areas, like balls were being dropped everywhere, but with CrossFit, I was like, oh, I can do this, and it's a whole hour where no one's asking me for a glass of water, or no one's asking me to mark something. It's just me by myself. And so logically I know why I was going once or twice a day.
To CrossFit.
To CrossFit. But I was like sneakily going as well. So I'd go every morning at 6 a.m, but then like if I had time, which I don't know how, I would go again at night time. And the CrossFit people were like, you can't do this.
Your body
cannot do this.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I was like, what? Oh, this is. And then I started thinking, I'm going to join another CrossFit place.
Yeah.
And
They
go
don't
there.
need to know that.
They don't need to know.
Yeah,
I know,
yeah.
like a true addict. I was like, oh my God, I was like doctor shopping for CrossFit. It's like, I was like on the oxy hunt, but it was just for barbells. And I was like, it took me a really long time to realize that there was probably something wrong with that.
And it was the release that you felt in doing CrossFit. It's like, it's like some people go and beat the shit out of a bag, boxing, like it's something that, you need to sort of.
Yeah, some people like sing really loudly in their car after a stressful day, and then that releases something. Or some people drink a lot.
In terms of all the alternatives that you had for drink, drugs, raging, there was something.
Everyone saw it as healthy, and I was ripped, Joel. I was ripped. I had like, so people were like, you look great. And I was like, okay, I must be great.
Doing something great.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just constant compliments on something which truly was quite an unhealthy addiction that I had. But no one was like, you're going too much, and this is probably not right. The exercise is healthy, and to look like trim or whatever is healthy. So everyone was like supporting it. So I was like, see, and then the only person who was really kind of poo-pooing it was Lucas, because he was like, I just don't think that you need to go this much. And
and where are you?
Yeah, exactly.
At 6 a.m. I roll over and hang on, where's my wife?
Yeah. I was like asking them, I was like, can you start at 5? I'll come for 2 hours. If you open at 5, I'll come for 2. And they were like, no one wants to be here at 5 a.m.
They turn up, you're by the door.
Yeah.
Yep, good to go.
I joined F45 because I heard that they have a 4:45 a.m. class. I was like, which is awful.
Tell me, how much sleep were you getting?
Oh, hardly any.
Yeah.
Hardly any, because also the girls would wake up during the night. And so it was like, I don't know whether, and when I'm anxious, I sleep very badly anyway. So when anxiety kicks in, I will wake up in the middle of the night. When I'm coming up with a new show, I will, that will be the worst part of my year is that sleep. The month before, when I'm like, oh no, I've made a huge. This is going to be the one where you've realised, or where it all kind of comes tumbling down, and where no one comes, or when you get cancelled, or when the primary school people come for you. I don't know what it is, or none of these jokes are going to work, But
that's what makes you good, though. If you were like, I got this, I'm the greatest, I'm the best. Comedians that are like that are usually like, it's not really where it's at. Whereas the comedians that are like, shit, I hope, like, they're always the ones that have the edge.
Yeah. I went, have you ever watched Hacks?
I saw some of the first season.
Oh, it's a really great, it's a really, really great show. But there's this, so stand-up comedian, the older lady, she gets there's a point in the third season, I think, where she breaks to the next level, and she's adored by everyone. There's no spoilers here.
Yeah,
Like it's okay. But she goes to this like a smaller club, and she says, and this is after all the adoration and praise that she's received, and she goes to a smaller club and she goes, "Oh, hi guys, I haven't been in. It's such a nice little club. I haven't been here in ages." And then the audience roars laughing, and she's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to do new stuff tonight because is that okay with you guys? And then they all roar laughing, and she's like, "Yeah, okay, cool. I haven't said a joke yet." And then they all roar laughing. I'm like, it must be hard to be at that level where you're like, because as if you wouldn't take your foot off the pedal, as if you wouldn't be like, I don't have to think of something new because everything I say is
They're
funny.
on board.
Yeah, everything I do. Like, I'm surely, like, people, they might lose some, but the diehard fans are like, I've got your face tattooed on my arm. I'm absolutely going to laugh at everything. It's in my best interest.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I was doing a club in the States. I think it was at Irvine, and I was talking to someone there about the different comics that they've had come through, and they have like YouTube comics and online comics and stuff. And he was like, they pack the place out, and I said, what's the show like? And he says, the people there, they love it. They're like, but, and I said, so how would they go with the normal comedy audience? He goes, oh, no, it wouldn't work. And he's saying, because it's their audience, they're there, they've already got acceptance. They say, so anyway, the other day I was with Tracy. Tracy! Who's Tracy?
Jokes.
Who knows?
Yes.
And it's this, like, they found their audience, but, and I remember once doing at Rottnest Island, they used to do a comedy festival on that, and I remember I was hosting the gala, and there was this kind of online comic that got up, and they were a really nice crowd, and, I'd got them going well, and, bringing, the next person going, and then that person came on, and it just, like, tumbleweed. Yeah. And I was just like, wow, that's really interesting to see it in that context of, they've got their crowd, but you take their crowd away, then what are they working with?
Oh, absolutely. It is satisfying though when you see a TikTok comedian bomb. You're like, sucked in.
This is how it works, all right?
Yes, sucked in. Yeah, it is. Where's your audience now?
Yeah. Welcome to the real world. It's because it's interesting that you said that with that waking up with that anxiety. I remember the first time I was doing my first ever solo show in a theatre, and it was Playhouse Theatre, so not the main room, but
very good though.
200 seater.
That's great, amazing.
But it was like leading up to it, and it was like maybe a month or two out from it, and I had in my dream that no one turned up. And I was waiting to go, and I kept on looking through the wings, like the doors are open, it's getting closer to shutter, no one there. And I just walk out on stage, and there's no one there. And then my manager walked out, Andy from the other wings, and he's like, I don't know what to tell you, Joel. No one's interested in seeing you, mate. No one's
Your
come.
dad was right.
I know, I'm thinking about premonition. And he said, no one's, I don't know what to say. And I woke up from the dream going,
oh, awful.
In the middle of the night, it was like maybe 3 a.m. or something. And I just laid there, just looking up at the ceiling. I remember it was in Bathurst. I had a gig in Bathurst that night, and that was, and I remember just lying there in Bathurst that night, just thinking, what have I done? Why am I putting myself through this?
Yeah.
Why am I adding this extra pressure to my life?
Yeah.
I don't need to be.
You don't need to be.
No.
None of us need to be doing this. Some people just have regular jobs and they don't have to worry about people turning up.
Yeah.
I know.
And then it came to that night, and then the gig sold out. And I was and I'm looking through to have a look at the people coming in. And there's such a mix of people. Like there were young people, but then an old guy on his walking cane. I'm thinking, how do these people even know who I am? Where are they coming from?
Yeah.
And it was like, it was such a lovely sort of confirmation to go. But I tell you, that's what when I did this festival years ago, my stress was not necessarily the show, is getting people to the show. And this was back in the day when you would do the flyering, when that would work. So I'd be up for hours fucking flyering, and I'm like, geez, I want to be working on my act. I don't want to be out here.
I can't fly. I think I did it once in Adelaide, and I hated it so much. I was like, and Claire Hooper has this theory. She was like, you can't flyer because the dynamic is too great. The shift in dynamic is too great to be like, please come to my show. I would love it. I'd really appreciate if you were there. And then you get to the show and you're standing on stage and you're like, right, listen to me. It's my turn now. And they're like, wait, no, you're the peasant.
Right.
You're the person who begged me to be here.
Yeah.
So she's like, it doesn't. You need to get the flyer to do it. You can't do it yourself.
The way I got around that, I say, look, I know I look a lot like this guy, Joel Osborn. I'm actually his brother. He's the talented one. He's the one you got to go see.
Very good.
It never worked, but I would say it anyway. They'd be like, okay. But it would give me sort of third person sort of, like, he's great, this guy. You got to see him. He's like, look at the reviews on there.
Oh, great.
And then I'd walk past the bin and go,
there's
all the flyers.
I know. When I was in Edinburgh, this is a few years ago, just watching the flyer, people taking them and throwing it into a puddle.
Yeah.
So the cobblestone roads were full of puddles.
So there's like a paper mache mould of your flyers.
It's awful. Like, I don't think I could do Edinburgh. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I've never been over there, but I hear mixed things about Edinburgh. I hear it's like, make sure you got 20 grand up your sleeve when you go.
You
hear that a lot.
Yeah, like Ray O'Leary was telling me that he went over there and sold out every single ticket, and he still lost $3 grand.
Incredible, right?
Yeah, and he was staying in like not a fancy. He wasn't staying in like a 5-star resort hotel. He wasn't even staying in a hotel. He was staying in this tiny little dingy place. I was like, how?
Yeah.
Everything's so dear.
Yeah. And if it's gonna, like, what do you got to do? Like, you're putting that amount of work into a show. You're taking it over there. I'm selling out. I still owe money. I'm still in debt.
Yeah. What was that for? I should have stayed back here and worked at Clint's.
Tell me, but when you were going through everything you were going through, at that point, were you doing stand-up then?
I was just doing, where the real mess was before stand-up, and then when I became medicated, I went to the doctor and I got medicated, and my whole life changed. I was like, oh my God, like finally this calm washed over me, like there was the like ringing in my ears and stopped, and I was like, oh my, I had no idea that I could hear that. Like I had no idea. And so the ringing stopped, and I was like, oh, okay, I can handle this. And then I went to work, and I was like, oh, I'm miserable here. This is not good for me, because it's really toxic. And I was like, this can't be the end. This can't be the end for me. This can't be where I am forever. And there's teachers that teach for 45 years, so I was kind of looking at them being like, this can't be my end. And then a kid asked me a question. This is the start of term 1. A kid in 2019. A kid asked me a question, and I looked at him, and because had been the same question that I was asked on the same day, day 1, term 1, for the past 10 years. And when he asked it, I was like, I wanted to scream. Like I was like, oh my God. I had this moment where I was like, this is for the rest. If you don't do anything, Bron, you will be asked this every day, term 1, for the rest of your life. And I think I might have just like hissed the answer at him. He was like, Christ, what's wrong with her? But I was like, that was the moment I was like, there has to be something else. And serendipitously, I had met Claire Hooper at that was the year when my daughter started school. And I think, and I met her at the school gates. Claire Hooper, her daughter was at the same school as mine. And I looked, and I was like, oh my gosh, she looks familiar. Anyway, 3 months passed, I still couldn't place her. And we got along really well. And we made each other laugh a lot. And then she said, if you ever want to start comedy, she said, I'm a comedian. If you want to start comedy, I can help you. And I think she just said that to anyone who made her laugh. She's so nice. And I had a physical reaction to that. I was like, holy moly, it's never happened to me before. And I was like, oh my God, I think I do. Like, I think I want to try it. And so she took me to my first ever open mic, and it went really well.
Great.
And I was like, oh, like that was like, and I don't think I've ever had this in my life where colours changed. Like I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And she was like, she said to me so many times, it's not glamorous. Like there's like very little glamour, and it's hard, and it's a slog. And there's years where you earn next to nothing, and then if you are lucky enough, you'll make enough money to survive, but a lot of people don't. And she was saying it was not to dissuade me. It was just honesty, and that's all I wanted from it. And I was like, no, I'm going to give it a go. So I'd said to my school, I'm going to go on long service leave, and I knew that I was never going to go back. I just knew, because I was like, I have to. I can't be here anymore. And but knowing like I'll try comedy, and if I have to come back to teaching, then I will to survive. But I wanted comedy to be the thing, and I was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time a number of times, and also to do it a bit later. I was in my 30s.
Sure.
I had life experience. So that, I think that is an asset.
Yes.
Whereas a lot of people think that like time on stage is far more valuable. Whereas I think that you need to have both.
Yeah.
You absolutely need to have both. And so I was, well, you don't need to, but I think you often have to have both. And so I was lucky. At the very start doing open mics, awful time. I don't think I could do it again.
Well, you mean performing for a bunch of comedians that are sitting apathetically in a room, more worried
on their
about
phones?
Yeah.
Oh.
You mean that you didn't find that enriching
Oh,
and
it was
nourishing?
awful, and they were all like 22-year-old boys who lived with their mums, and and I was like, you're not going to find my stuff funny, and I'm not going to find your stuff funny, because we're too different, and we're not experienced enough to know how to make each other laugh. Like what we really need at this point in our career, someone who is a little bit like us to sit in the audience and be like, oh yeah, I can see where you're trying to go with that, because I wasn't good at the start. No one's good at the start. No one. But
your first time was good.
It was good because all my friends were there.
Tell me, how was the second time?
Awful.
That happened to me. The first time I ever got up at an open mic, it was in Los Angeles. And I did, and it went great.
Yeah,
I was like, and my friend Jonathan, he goes, yeah, great work tonight, but just know the next time you get on stage, you're gonna die.
Oh my God, he was right.
And sure enough, I was struggle street, you know. But it was painful. And he goes, happened to me, it happens to everyone.
Yeah.
You know, but it's nice to have that first one where you're like, something's here.
Yes.
And that's what I got to get back to.
And you're just chasing that forever.
Yes.
You're just chasing the dragon. You're just chasing the dragon. You're like, I know what you guys are capable of. I know what this could happen. But it's at the start it was predominantly bombs, which is everyone's. I think a lot of people have that, because starting gigs are awful, just dire. The worst bomb I ever had was on my 6th ever gig. I was in front of 300 people, which was, I shouldn't have been given the gig. But Hoops had said to the room runner, she's good, because she truly is the kindest person alive. She was like, she's good, she can handle it, give her 5, honestly. Yeah. She hosted, she just destroyed. And then the first act went out, and her name's Eve Ellen Bogan, and she's moved back to America, because she's so funny and really blue. Okay?
Right.
And the audience loved her. And if I were experienced enough, I would not have done the set that I did. But I only had that set, and that's it. I knew it word for word, and that is it. And I'd never done that one before. I'd just trying a brand new 5 minutes.
But out of the gates, that is hard to follow someone who sets the tone in a room too.
Yeah.
If that's not your thing, and then you go on and...
Yes.
So
absolutely.
regardless of if you've been doing it for 20 years, that's still, when someone sets the tone in a room like that, then it's hard to recalibrate.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can see comedians at the back of the room when they go, oh, they're laughing at rude stuff, and you go, and they go, okay, because they're like, that's what they want now.
Yes.
They feel like they've got a taste for blood. And they're like, all right, I guess I'm going to have to them out next.
So you're up against it out of the gates.
Yeah, but I bombed so severely. I think I saw, and a guy that I went to, a teacher, I worked with him, I was still teaching at this point, he had come along with his wife, and they'd organised a babysitter and everything, they made a night of it, and they came, and I could see him in the audience turn to his wife, and they both were like, oh,
And then afterwards they're like, that was fun.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so fun.
I don't even think they said, I think that they just smiled at me. I don't think there were any words like
Nothing needs to be said.
I
We
was like,
both understand.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I tried to try and say to him the next time, because I shared an office with him. I had to say to him, like, look, it's usually a bit better than that.
Yeah.
It's usually better than that. Like, he came in a really bad one. He was like, oh, dude, no, you were great. You was actually good. It was good. It was fine. You were great. And I was like, oh, my God. And now, he's never come see me ever since. Ever again. But I was like, oh, this is why you don't invite anyone until you're good.
Yeah.
There's some people, I wish I'd known
Is it usually in the back of your mind when you know someone's in the audience, or like if you got a family member there?
Not
when
anymore.
No.
I think it used to be.
Yeah.
But not anymore. Like, I know it was annoying this run I've had for this tour. There's been 2 nights of that I haven't loved. Where the audience has just been quite sluggish.
Is that what you were referring to last night?
Yeah.
The Thursday.
Yes, it's Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes, and Lucas was my partner. He was in the Tuesday night where it was really hard work, and he'd said at the end, he was like, "God, are you sure about all those jokes?" And I was like, "Yes, I am sure about those. Yeah. I am sure about them.
I've been doing them in the other festivals.
Exactly. Everywhere. It's worked every other night. As it's tonight, the audience made a consecutive decision that I was the worst person alive.
And sometimes they have that.
Yes.
Sometimes there is a unity in an audience where they're just like, you do the work.
Yeah. That's why I say at the start of my show, you guys have a role here. You guys make a big difference to the end to the show. Like, if you come in with a stinker of an attitude, then that's the show.
But it's funny because some people are like, no, you never blame an audience. You never put it on an
Oh,
audience.
you can.
But yeah, I think that's as I always say, I liken it to like a conversation. You know, it's like, well, it's going to be a conversation, but if you're not giving me anything, I'm going to be doing all the work here. Yeah, it'll still be a conversation, but it's like, it's not.
And neither of us will enjoy it.
Yeah. Right.
I'll be talking too much, and you will be hating it, and I'll be hating you for making me talk too much.
Sure.
So that's true. I think that audiences, they do have a big role, and you don't have to win all of them.
Yeah.
But if there can be people leave who will say, okay, it's not for me, and that's fine. Like, that is absolutely fine.
And there are things that you can do as well. You know, like if you've got an audience that initially isn't given much, like you can. There are things that you can do to get them energized, get them going. There is that as well. But if you're doing that and it's still not working, it's like George Carlin used to say, like he was like, he goes, I've been doing this show every night. I've been in a packed out theatre, and I know the responses. I know where it's at. If I just happen to get an audience that ain't going with it, it's not on me. I ain't wearing that.
Great.
You know, so, and that's like, he's come down from the Mount Rushmore of comedy to say that, you know.
I agree wholeheartedly. So that's why I say at the top of my thing, I do the same show every night. The only thing that's different is you guys. And sometimes I think they need to hear that. Because they don't know. And like the Tuesday night that I thought it was a stinker, and the Thursday night that I thought was a stinker, this is last week, they might have had a fine time.
Yes, there's that point too, that they don't know any different.
Yeah.
We know because we know what each judge...
Last time was amazing,
Yeah. So that's why I tend to just, all right, well, I'm going to fulfill my end of the bargain here, and do the best to my ability with what I got to work with, you know, as opposed to like, well, you guys suck, fuck this, we're going to roll, take this into the ground. It's like, in the back of my mind, no, they've still made the effort to come out and they've paid good money, they're here, to, they're just not vocal about it. And then afterwards, sometimes they come up, and the reaction is like, I love that.
I know. Like, did you?
Where were you?
Absolutely. I had on the I think it was the Tuesday night. I had it was the Thursday night, and I had this man in the second row who looked like he was rolling his eyes at me. Like, that's how much he didn't like it. And I thought, this is really weird, because his wife is laughing and he is... It just looked like she dragged him along to a show, and he was like, I've told you before, I do not like female comedians. She's like, but try this one. So he's like sitting there begrudgingly. And so he's sitting there, and he was kind of like, he had a big heavy jacket on, he didn't take that off. Like, looked like he was ready to leave straight away. So he was kind of looking around and like frowning even. And at the end of the show, because my evil brain whispered to me, that's a reviewer. And I was like, oh no. And I was like, oh no, that's a reviewer. And so for the rest of the show, I just had this man in my periphery where I was like, I can just give me something, mate. Like, just even look at the stage or something, sort of looking at the ceiling or whatever. Anyway, at the end, his wife said to me, we loved it. And I said, did you? No.
Here is my visually impaired husband.
I know. She said he's autistic. She said he loved it. He doesn't know. He said, I thought that was really clever and really funny. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry, because I thought you hated it. And I thought you were a reviewer. And he was like, no, I'm not a reviewer, and I enjoyed it. It's just my face. And she said, we can't change his face. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm the bad one now. Oh,
damn it. Oh, yeah. So you can't, and you also, you're always playing with fire with comedy, but I think that's similar with teaching as well. You kind of always like, I don't know if this is going to trigger any kids, but... Let's go. This could be funny. Yeah, I don't know how I didn't get fined as a teacher. I was always pushing the boundaries with what I could joke about and stuff.
Sure.
Not like nasty stuff, but you like joke around with kids. Like this one kid could always be late. He was always kind of like super clumsy. So I used to call him Gumby. I used to make fun of him by saying that he didn't have any bones. Yeah. And he thought that was really
hilarious,
funny.
yeah.
But there could have been, like now I think back, I'm like, there could have been a kid in there that might have had like a bone density problem and they wouldn't be offended by that or whatever. There's no other teacher making fun of this kid with no bones.
But compared to that, I remember at school, we'd get the cane. It was like, forget about your feelings, son.
I know.
You're in a world of pain coming up.
Yeah.
So,
they're too weak now. They're too soft.
Well, but it is interesting that, because I got a friend who was a teacher years ago, and he became a psychologist, but he was... He talked about when he was teaching, and he said, man, he goes, I really feel for the teachers now. There's just so many regulations and rules and so much imposed on them now. And also the teacher-student dynamic is totally different, whereas back then, you respected your teacher and but whereas now it's like, the teacher's to blame then if there's a problem. So it's a lot of... a lot more pressure.
I don't know why anyone... That's why there's a teacher shortage. It's just not... We've pushed it so far to the other way that now... and also the score's so low. To get more people in the scores, you have like an 8 out of like 55 for some unis. And then they're like, cool, now teach the kids. It's like, do you think they did well at school? And not to say that you can't... it's just that thing where it's like the level of disrespect towards teaching is at this point where it's like, look, can just anyone do it?
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, and then they'll bump up the pay, and so people will get into it for the wrong reasons, and then they're awful to the kids, or they're just like creeps or whatever. But you constantly are getting sworn at. Well, I was anyway, constantly getting sworn at. Oh yeah.
Man, I remember at school, you wouldn't dare.
Yeah, can you imagine? I know. We had I mentioned this in my show last night. I had a kid who came my first year teaching. He brought bullets to my class and lined his desk with it. He was awful. He was so awful to me. And he said, Miss Lewis, if I had a gun, you'd be dead. And he said to me another time, oh, Miss Lewis, I shot a rabbit last night and I watched it die. And then he was just waiting for my reaction. And I'd be like, this is psychotic behaviour. But if I complain about it, they were like, he's just telling you he shot a rabbit. What's the big deal?
Right,
I was like,
right.
Okay.
They're trying to placate.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh no, see, this kid needs help. Like he's only like 14 and he's going to kill someone.
This is the groundwork for a serial killer.
Yes, exactly. But it's like, oh, come on. Just...
You can't call him a serial killer.
Yeah, that's exactly
done the groundwork for. Listen. And then getting into comedy, like, whatever, I can handle any heckle.
Exactly.
It's a good tool to be able to have that resilience.
Oh, hecklers, people are like, oh gosh, hecklers must be banned. I'm like, no, I will destroy them.
Yeah.
I've never stood a chance. I've literally never seen a heckler win.
Yeah.
Even with people who aren't like great at, crowd work, the heckler never wins.
No.
So when they heckle me, I'm like, I'm going to kill you. I'm
Just
ready.
give me a reason.
Yeah, exactly. The hecklers are it's just a cakewalk. I don't know what you thought was going to happen, but I'm going to embarrass the shit out of you right now. Yeah.
I always like to give them a little bit of rope, initially, like let them, because sometimes I've seen like with a heckler go blah blah blah, and then the comic goes right out of the gates, and then it's like, oh, that was a bit harsh.
Yeah.
So I like to give them a little bit, so the audience is like, I want to kill this guy.
Yeah.
You know, so by the time so we got the mob, all right, here we go, ready to roll.
Yeah, you can get a comedian who can be a bit too nasty too quickly, and you're like, and everyone feels sad, and you're like, oh, okay, you could have.
Yeah.
Like, all right, he was just offering a suggestion.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he was saying you're great.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, what do you? He did it. Woo.
Yeah. It's like you're laughing wrong. Now, usually I've got around to this, but this has been such a fun chat that.
I loved it.
But
yeah.
this is so we're going to skip all this.
Okay.
No. So I always ask my guests to share their favorite album, film, and book.
Mm-hmm.
So the first album that you've picked is a 90s classic.
Yeah.
None other than Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill.
It was. I reckon I have bought this album. I reckon I bought this album 10 times because I kept every time I got scratched. And there wasn't a song I could sacrifice. There wasn't a song where I was like, oh, that's okay, I could live without that. They're all so good. It was just, and it was like such a journey. And I love a story. Like my favourite comedy has a story, you know. And the same thing with every single one of these tracks. It's like, she's given us a character here. I can see where she is. I can see how she's feeling. I can see why that person's awful, you know. And I thought I think it was, for me, it was one of my first ever albums. And perhaps it was my first. It was certainly up there. I think maybe a So Fresh one beat it. But look. That's embarrassing.
Which one was that?
So Fresh. You know, you got a compilation CD. It was like 2 CDs in there, and it had things like Meredith Brooks' Bitch. You things like this.
I think I remember the cover of that CD.
Yeah, So Fresh.
Yeah.
All
the compilation of all the
Yeah. And I had things on it like a Pretty Fly for a White Guy. You know, just things you couldn't live without. So unfortunately, I think that was my first album. My sister and I had to go halves in that. We had $15 each. We went to Sanity in Belconnen Mall in Canberra and bought this together. And there was one CD in each thing. And she was a mean older sister. So she'd be like, actually, I've changed my mind. You can have one of the CDs. And then she would like give me the CD that didn't have my favourite song on it. Mole. Unforgivable. Anyway, this one, my sister had zero interest in Alanis, so I was like,
fantastic.
This is great.
Yeah.
And I remember walking with my friend Jamie Jeffers in year 6, and she said to me, did you know Alanis Morissette is a lesbian? And I was like, is she? And she's not, but that was the first time. Even though heaps of my mum's mates were lesbians, but I didn't know. Like, there was no talk about sexuality of any of that description. But I remember being like, does that mean I'm not allowed to like her anymore? Yeah. And having a moment where I was like, but her songs are so good.
Yeah.
Do I give up on her? And I remember that. I was like, maybe people can be fine if they're gay. And it really like having that realization, it's an embarrassing thing to like, but I think each kid, especially when the time that I grew up, had to have that moment where they're like, okay, that's just normal, that's fine. But I was like, no one who makes art this good can be bad.
Yes.
Can be bad. It was so good. And also, do you know what she introduced me to? She introduced me to Female Fury, which I think I can really resonate with. Because, you know, every single kid, every single show that I'd watched, especially when I was a kid, was very gendered, and women were gentle and the little girls were gentle, and it was kind of funny if like the girl had a little bit of a temper tantrum.
Spat,
yeah. But they would have to be wearing. You know, like do you remember the movie Little Rascals?
Yeah, sure.
And he was in love with Delilah, and she was like this beautiful. She was like so cute, and she wore a frilly dress. And there was a scene where he lets her down, and she like shakes her fist at him, and that was funny because it was like, oh, this is a different side of Delilah, and a little girl can be cross. But then she went back to being sweet as candy, but. I think so. Understanding that our role is to be just like really docile and really like accepting, and listening to like just how much rage Alanis had about men who'd let her down, or not even necessarily men. She has this one where there's one about the mother. So Mary Jane. It's not just men that she's furious at, but each song has a level of disappointment in someone, and sometimes she's embodying the person who's disappointed someone. So I just loved how she harnessed these negative energies and just put them into like a position of power and made them something beautiful. I know that sounds really wanky, but I hadn't been introduced to that before, and so she was, because I know that the generation before me, they had Sinead O'Connor, and I grew to love her later. But she wasn't on the radio or anything like that when I was a kid. I mean, There's Nothing Compares to You, but it's a ballad that is soft and it's sweet. She's lovely in it. It was jarring to see that she had no hair in the film clip, but like it took me a lot. Like it was later that I learned why she'd shaved her head. It's because she didn't want to be objectified. You know, she kind of refused this idea of what women were supposed to look like, and that was really powerful. But so Alanis was my Sinead O'Connor. Yeah. And I don't know if they have ever met, but I the way that people talk about Sinead O'Connor in the way that she was a trailblazer and how she didn't sound like other people, and she had the ability to sound like a siren, but then she would release a song like Troy, which was guttural and ugly in parts and so powerful, and she was like, I know I'm supposed to sound pretty, but I don't want to. And there's heaps of Alanis. Like I'd never heard of anyone sound like her before, and there were bits where like the keys were off at some point, and and there's like feels like there's mistakes in there, and you're just like, this feels so authentic, and that it feels like someone. There would have been a number of people who would have said, no, this is not. Can you do a little bit calmer, or you're a bit angry in here? Can we change this or whatever? And I don't even know, but the narrative I told my 11-year-old self was, she's a baller. Okay, she's made some decisions here, and we love her for it. Yeah. And there's people who were like scared of her, like Jamie Jefferson's mum, who was like, she's a lesbian, we can't like her. And I was like, oh my God.
Where did that even come from?
I don't know.
Was it ever quantified?
No, and this is like before the internet, so she would have just decided. I think it's because she was angry.
Right.
And so like there was
She must be then.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think she was wearing Doc Martens too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Because she was angry and she looked like she didn't care what men wanted her to be like. Sure. So I think that Sinead would have had the same. Yeah. Would have had the same rumours would have been circulating about her as well.
It's funny because there's I forget his name, the actor that was in Full House who the song You Ought to Know was written. Yeah. But it's interesting hearing, like, so I remember seeing an interview with him once, and he was talking about it, and he said, like, hearing that on the album, but he knew her to be this very kind, person. Like he gave an example. He said, like, when she was up in Canada, and his mum had cancer, and she was living in Michigan, in Detroit, and she got in her car to travel down to see her and just play guitar for her and sit with her when she was in the hospital. And he said, he said she's just got this, she's a very kind, good person. So it's nice to have that dynamic of like, she can express herself and that rage and that, and also have, be multifaceted,
Yeah, well, this is the album. Like, it's not just rage the whole way through.
Right.
And the final, like, there's a secret track on it, on the album, where she's talking about how she goes to her boyfriend's house and she finds a love letter from another woman, and it's heartbreaking. Like, it's like this really, really sad song. So there's and in that one, there's no fury, even though someone's let her down. Yeah. It's just a really textured album. Anyway, she's. And you don't necessarily think that they're her stories. There's Taylor Swift, like all of it. It's like, oh, this happened to her, and which actor is she talking about here, and who's the blonde person she's referring to, and who's she jealous of, and which boyfriend broke her heart in this. I don't think you need to do that
No.
in music.
It doesn't have to be all autobiographical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can just be like, you can take a story, create a story, write a song about it. It doesn't have to be yours, because otherwise you're just mining your life.
So yeah,
it'd be exhausting, and we don't actually need to know everything about your heartbreaks.
Right. And also, how does this, like, so many songwriters you hear, like, I don't want to tell you everything about this, the biography of this tune.
Yeah.
How does it affect you? What does it do in your life? And that's your interpretation. And all great art is like that. You know, it's like you have to invest some of yourself into it to understand what it's about. You know?
And it is sweet when you're like, oh, this song's about this person. That's can be quite nice. Like the song "Happy Birthday Helen" by, I can't remember, it's an Australian singer. I can't remember what they called, but he wrote that song about his girlfriend at the time. Her name's Helen, and that when they just started dating, and then it's like 30 years later they're still married, and I'm like, that's really sweet. Like that has added a little bit of something else to that song for me. But I don't think you could look, like, I never listened to Alanis being like, oh, that must be the time that she walked in on her. Just because she's like furious at this. Some of them might be, but like, you don't all have to be. You know. Yeah. Anyway, I love that album.
They made a documentary about her on
never,
HBO.
yeah,
I haven't seen
it yet.
But I was reading up on it, and she was like, "Don't watch this documentary."
Oh, really?
You know, she goes, I feel so used in this, I'm manipulated with what. And it's interesting that you were talking.
Now I have to watch it.
But it's
Sorry, Alanis, I've got to watch it now.
It's interesting that you're talking about what you went through. You know, after childbirth and what, and she went through the same.
Oh, right.
Yeah, she was saying that it was interesting that when they were making the documentary that she was going through that and this immense depression and mental anguish, and she felt used and felt that they'd taken advantage of her, and
that's awful. Yeah, if someone was making a movie about me when I was spiraling, I'd have to find every copy and burn it, because it's just not a reflection on who you are.
Yeah.
Not well.
And with documentaries too, the people think, oh, it's a documentary, it's got to be true. There's some of the most manipulative, like, you know, there's the narrative that the director wants to tell, and he's gonna skew everything to suit that, you know. That.
Oh, absolutely.
So it sounds like that's what's happened.
I have to watch it, and I'll keep that in mind. But I will definitely have to watch that.
Did you see the
musical?
The musical?
No, I didn't.
No, I heard it was great. I didn't see it either,
good.
but a friend of mine who's a director saw it and said it was brilliant.
Oh, wonderful! No, I didn't see it. I think when you love something so much, you're scared of someone ruining it.
Yeah, you don't want your vision to be tainted.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like when someone says, "Oh, we're doing," even like I was nervous about going to see the play Death of a Salesman, because I love that play so much, and I was nervous of them just not doing a good job. I was like, you are taking something I love, and you're putting your interpretation on it, and I might not like your interpretation, and that's going to make me angry. And so I'm like, maybe I'll just not go and just hope for the best. Hope they did a good job, you know. So I think with the musical, I was nervous that it was going to shift it for me, or they'd do something wrong. But it's nice to hear that they didn't.
Yeah, when you see a play and it's not like, I've seen the interpretations of some plays, and I think it's great it's open to interpretation, but when it's like, hang on, this isn't serving the writer in the play.
Yeah.
What you're doing here is not what I know to be on the page.
Yes.
And it's like, well, then your interpretation's just some, you know, creative wank, really.
Yeah,
you know?
or whether it's like they take a Georgia Orwell play and they make it happy. You're like, no.
That's not
We're
how this
supposed to
works.
leave you feeling sick about everything. Like, we're supposed to leave you thinking, the world should end, we don't deserve it.
Yeah. And which is good, which is like, you know, when everyone feels like, oh, it was so depressing, I want to be entertained. It's like, well, sometimes things aren't, you know, or sometimes things aren't fun.
Yeah, I know, some things are just awful, and that's okay.
And that's all right, you know. And look, that brings us to this, which is a powerful film.
The Hours, and it is Nicole Kidman, Julianne Moore, and Meryl Streep. I loved this movie. I think I could watch this movie every day. And there's not very many movies I could say that about. Actually, none. I love this movie so much because it's such a heavy hitting cast I love all three of these actresses, but the how clever it was, how it intertwined. I love when that stories intertwine. I love when they do that. It's just such a thrill when I'm like, how are they going to make this work? You watch the whole film, you're watching three completely separate stories. All three of these actors have completely separate stories set in different times, and you're like, I don't know. I trust you guys that you know what you're doing.
We're going to thread this.
Yeah, but I don't know how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
I do not know how you're going to do it. And each story in its own merit is completely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And each story, you feel so sorry for the characters, all of them. Like, it's not like, oh, he's an arsehole or whatever. Everyone in it, you're like, oh,
everyone's hurting.
Everyone's hurting. But in so obviously with and also like Nicole Kidman did a great job. She played Plath, no, yeah. So
Virginia Woolf.
Virginia Woolf, yes, where she has to have a prosthetic nose. and she did a great job.
Yeah, she did some great work.
Filled her little pockets with rocks, walked into the river. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. But I think the probably the saddest of all is the Julianne Moore story, where she is a closeted woman and she's miserable. She's got this little boy and she's got a husband that loves her, and she does not want this life. She's in a life which she does not like at all, even though everyone in it is lovely. Even though the little boy
she's got the cute little boy.
Oh, he's so sweet. He wants to make a cake for his dad. Every day she's like battling through like such severe melancholy because it's not what she wants. But in that time, that was the best. Yeah. That was the best option, and she had it. And so she was fighting like that, the guilt of not wanting it, but also the urge to chase something else, which was whether she was a lesbian or she was just wanting to get out of her relationship. And the ending of her was so sad. Yeah. It's so sad, but I think it's one of. Again so complex, and you can't be like, oh, it's one of those ones where you trust what they're doing the entire way through, and you at the end you're like, oh, geez, they did that well.
Yes, yeah, the revelation with the Ed Harris character with Richard, and that scene with him when he's sitting in the windowsill and you know what's coming, and just that moment between him and Meryl Streep, and
oh my God, I can hear it and I can see it. I know, but you don't. But again, he's not the villain. One is the villain. No. He did something awful, but to her in that moment. But it was, I think it's a truly powerful film. I'm actually probably going to watch that tonight when I get home from my show. I'm so excited about it now.
There's a lyric by Jacob Dylan that makes me think of this film, where he says, "One thing's for certain, everybody's hurting."
No, there you go.
And it's it's a very I like the way, like you said, that it doesn't make a villain out of anyone. That everyone's got their own challenges. Like Virginia Woolf's husband, like he's moved to the country. He's trying, he's trying
so
to okay, you don't want to live in London. We'll upend everything. We'll move out here. We'll get a publishing, printing press out here. We'll do everything right. Is this all right? And it's he's fighting a losing battle.
And they truly, like, from like, I guess, an outsider's perspective, you just see three ungrateful women. So you've got Meryl Streep's character, whose partner, who's like, oh, well, I'll get this, I'll do this, and she's like, well, it's not good enough, and can we have this? And she's like, seems really cutting and nasty, but she's just trying to get it right. She really wants it all to be perfect. Yes. And then we've got Julianne Moore's character, who just looks really ungrateful because she's unhappy in the perfect life. And then and obviously Virginia, Nicole Kidman's character, who is, her husband's doing everything in his power to try and make her fight depression, and she cannot. She cannot.
Yeah. It's a losing battle.
Yeah, she's like, this is pointless.
And I do like the way that she states, this isn't about me not loving you or me not caring about you. This is, that is all there, and I thank you for that. It's a very, there's a bigger thing going on here that neither of us can solve. Yeah. I guess she solves it in the end.
She solves it. They all solve something.
Yeah.
They all solve something. Yeah, I love that movie.
And even the John C. Reilly character, you know, like he's like so oblivious, and you know, and he's got his own pain coming back from the Second World War, and you know, but she's trying to communicate to him too that she loves him, but there's something, you know,
there's something he can't fix. Yeah.
But when you're saying movies too that have these multiple narratives going that intertwine, did you like Magnolia?
I don't think I've seen it. I'll have to watch it. Magnolia.
Yes, Magnolia. Yeah, it's similar to this
great.
and that, and John C. Reilly's in it too.
Oh, fantastic!
But in that one too, once again, everyone's hurting.
Yeah, great.
You know, and it's such a I remember seeing that in the cinema, and that was maybe. When did it come out? Maybe 2000. But it's a similar time. I think it was 2001 or something that it came out. And yeah, it was a great in that era of filmmaking. Like they weren't afraid to put all this money and put all this force behind a film that isn't a big entertainment laugh a minute. You know, which you know I don't know today. It seems at the movies you're not getting those sort of films that really dig deep into that world of pain that is important to see.
Yeah. You're right. I hadn't thought about that. I haven't seen a good one like that in a long time. Magnolia. Okay, I'll have to.
Yeah, Magnolia, and great soundtrack by Amy Mann as well. Yeah, you saying that and then thinking of John C. Reilly reminded me of that, and the acting in that is just
great.
And I think it's like Tom Cruise's best work.
Oh, okay.
Like he is like, and he plays this guy that's just, but there's a scene in it where he's bringing it.
Oh, is he? Okay.
And the cast is like William H. Macy, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh, great.
I won't say too much about it.
Okay, great.
It's
a good movie.
Yeah, it's definitely worth having a look.
And the book, you asked me to bring the
Yes.
book, but I have lent the book to someone, and I don't know who it is, and I'll never see it again, so I'll have to buy it again. But the book that that changed my life is called Cloud Streets by Tim Winton.
Yes.
And I read that book, and I love Tim Winton, but some people find him a bit exhausting because he writes, he's quite poetic, and sometimes it will take pages for him to describe one thing.
Right.
But I love that. I'm like, I am on board. Even though I'm quite an impatient person, I have all the patience in the world for Tim Winton. He is exceptional. He's one of Australia's best writers, I think. And he made this, he's one of those people who's just dedicated his life to trying to pinpoint what's good about Australia or pinpoint what it means to be Australian. And his story is two families, very, very different families, the Pickles and the Lambs, and they're for both for very unlucky reasons have to share a house. They kind of put a line down the middle of the house and like, you guys are on this side, you guys are on this side, and they're both broken families for different reasons, and both have very different morals, and they have to coexist, and they just teach each other. They teach each other lessons all of the time. And there's one character in it and this is exactly what I've been talking about the whole time. It won't surprise you at all. The Pickles, Dolly Pickles. She is
Dolly Pickles, quintessential Australian name.
Absolutely, and she hits the ground running in this book. You introduced to her with her poor daughter Rose trying to find her, and she's in a hotel room with like a sailor. So she's a lush. And she is promiscuous, and she was beautiful when she was younger, and she's still beautiful, but her looks have kind of faded through years and years of drinking, and she has a hopeless husband who is the father of her children, who's lost his hand in a fishing accident, and they're just trying to get by, but he is a chronic gambler. And so they're both broken, but they both kind of love each other, but they both keep breaking each other's hearts. And Dolly is amazing because she's so damaged and you don't know why she's that damaged, and you later realise why. Like you later get some insight into it, but she's got this hardened exterior that will only melt if she thinks she can get something out of a man. So, she can get a few dollars out of him, or if she can get his admiration, or anything. So the characters of Oriel, who's the Oriel lamb over the hallway. She's very stoic, very religious. Just doesn't take any nonsense. Very hardworking. There could not be more polar opposite. But there's this incredible, I think one of the best scenes that has ever been written in any book, where there is a wedding, and Oriel lamb and Dolly Pickles dance together. And that just like a waltz together. And it made me bawl my eyes out. And if for someone who describes so much, which Tim Winton does, he needed to describe very little in this scene for you to understand how powerful this was. He doesn't say, and this is because of this, and when she did this, and the people looked in awe because of what you knew how powerful that was, because he had spent the entire time building up these two characters to be so opposing, but at the same time very similar, because they were just two women who were struggling.
Yeah.
I loved it. Anyway, that's something I should probably read again as well.
Yeah.
And if anyone ever returns it to me. It's gone forever.
Multiple copies gone.
Yeah. So we'll see a theme here as I like strong women.
Yeah.
I like strong women, and they don't necessarily have to be strong all the time. In fact, it's quite nice when they buckle.
But that's where the real strength comes from, through that vulnerability too.
Yeah.
You know, rather than maintaining that wall the whole time or that facade the whole time, to actually, be able to show it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. This has been so nice.
It has been. It's been great. And it's been a great insight. And, just as you've been talking today, last night you said in your show how you're not a curious person. But listening to you talk about this and watching you last night, I thought, I got to disagree.
Oh, yeah.
Because you do have the curiosities, but it might not be the same as what everyone else, Yeah. Like to be a comedian, I think you got to be curious, right? You got to, but your curiosities are in, unique things. So it's,
Yeah, I think if someone started talking to me about, like when someone tries to teach me about a different album, if I'm like, are we talking about Alanis Morissette yet, or do you just let me know when we're talking
about that? Yeah. So you're curious in the things that interest you.
Yeah, which is, I feel like it's very rare for something to interest me enough to look into it. I could happily just stare at a wall all day. I'm pretty, there's not much going on.
Well, there's something meditative in that too.
Yes, maybe that's what I'm doing.
Find solace in taking in a blank wall.
Maybe, yes. Yes, you do meditate a lot. Maybe I need to start doing that. Give myself a reason to not do anything. I'm staring at. I'm meditating.
I'm real good at this. I'm a master at it, in fact. Well, this has been great, Bron.
Thank you,
It's been
Joel.
great.
Thanks for having me.
Been great to get an insight into the things that you like, and great to sit down in front of a camera with you, or multiple cameras with you again.
I'm going to insist on it every single time I see you. I'll say, unless there's a camera.
Where are the cameras? All right, now where's the catering? This has been great.
This has been fun.